I'm currently Deputy Director for Adult Social Care.
I'm Beth, I'm an admin officer.
My name's Harriet. We work in the Quality, Patient Safety and Investigations team.
My name's Abhishek. I handle cabinet documents for the Department of Health and Social Care.
I'm April and I work for the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care.
I'm Jake. I work in the same directorate as Abhishek.
My name is Lee McDonough and I am Director General for Acute Care and Workforce.
My name is Caroline Dinage and I am the Minister of State for Care at the Department of Health and Social Care.
You know when you get those news articles and you have the whole news article and then at the end it says a spokesperson said for the department, so we always write the spokesperson lines as well. The variety of roles in just this one office is huge. Jack and Tom, who are our creative team, so this Mac area is where the Twitter magic all happens.
So we've got a clip here of one of our junior ministers who's talking about takeaway restaurants in Bradford and healthy options in takeaways.
We will plan all of the kind of materials around that, draft the press releases, draft the lines, plan any interviews or filming that our ministers or other spokespeople might be kind of putting out there.
So what my team does is there's a huge need to talk to the Westminster bubble and talk to all the people who read newspapers every day. But we also know that, like looking even at you guys, there's lots of you who aren't reading a newspaper every day. So what the team that I work on does is we try and talk to you too, so you know what the government's doing just as much as everyone else.
A lot of the work we've been doing is kind of looking how we get medicine supplies into the country, which on the face of it sounds very dull, but actually it's quite a sort of challenge in terms of like making sure that we're sort of speaking to different countries.
You get so many skills that can apply to anything, so even if you did get here and you decided this isn't for me, you're going to have acquired so many new skills that you can apply to anything.
You have policy, you have analysts, got the communications team that do all the media and newspapers and I'm forgetting hundreds, but there are lots of different types of professions here.
If you want to be challenged and if you want to be kept on your feet, it will certainly do that.
If you want to work in the civil service and you don't know exactly what it is you want to do when you're here, sometimes actually just finding something that looks like it might be quite interesting but you're not sure, but give it a go, and then once you're in, it's a bit easier to move around.
There isn't a bigger policy challenge than actually thinking about how you help everyone in the country to live as healthy and as great a life as they can possibly be. So sometimes it's something about working out what your head tells you to do, as well as how that works with your heart to some extent. Now I sort of brought those two together, and that's where I got the job that I'm doing here, because sometimes if you bring that heart together with your head, you can give it your all.
I think the best part of my job is getting to look at lots of really interesting policy and think about the different ways that we can solve it and make things better for people.
I think it's a really interesting space, like what Jake was mentioning earlier about how you can, all the things you read in the news, or you preempt them, or you can actually learn about how you can actually make a difference to them. You can change the way that, there's a recent listeria crisis, you can change the way that's responded to, that's handled, you can try and prevent these things happening in the future. I think there's so much opportunity and there's so many things that you can do. Health is one of the biggest departments, but it's also the department that's in everyone's lives, it makes a difference to everyone. And yeah, I think it's really fulfilling and engaging.
You can make a difference to something that everyone is so passionate about and is invested in.
This is a forum where people who represent those networks can come together to talk about issues that affect them across the department.
I've learnt lots of new skills actually in terms of understanding how the health service works, understanding about how to work across boundaries. I spend a lot of time thinking about how we actually run the department. I also spend quite a lot of time working with ministers to make sure we understand what their priorities are, what they want to achieve. You can't look at things just in little boxes. There are a whole load of factors that affect somebody's health and well-being. I did start as a civil servant, but I've worked in lots of other departments. One of the challenges for all of us, is how you get your work-life balance right.
My job is to be responsible for lots of things around care in the Department of Health. Every aspect of care, everything from patient safety in hospitals, through to community health, through to adult social care, through to things like end-of-life care. It's very enjoyable and a lot of different things to learn, and it can be sometimes really challenging because some of those things that I mentioned, they're quite tricky and quite sometimes quite upsetting. I think actually these days it's pretty much the same if you're a guy or a woman in politics. It's you're judged upon your ability. What we need is more brilliant people to go and work in adult social care. It's a very rewarding career. There's lots of opportunities for career progression. I think with any profession like that, it's a really good opportunity to maybe go and get some work experience and to try it out and to keep a really open mind and think that maybe there are some roles out there which you may not think are for you, but actually if you go and try things you may find that they are just the sort of thing you're looking for.
This department is very lively. It's livelier than I expected it to be, because most places it's just computers and chairs and people staring at the screens and not really communicating. But here it's not like that. People are laughing together. It's just a really happy atmosphere.
There's a lot of. I thought it was just gonna be one department, but it's actually a lot of them.
Coming here today, it's made me realise that you can have a different variety of skills, and you could still end up doing something great, because in here you have different skills already and different people with different things, and then you do something great as a whole. So that's just one thing I learned.
I learned that there are many different routes to get into something, because we interviewed a range of people and they told us about the different routes they took before coming here. So I thought you can never judge where you end up until you end up where you end up. So it's there's not always one route to something that you want to do.
I expected that this to just be one department where everything happens in, but it's split up into many different departments.
So there's lots of really valuable professions, and we'd love to see more brilliant people with the right values going into those jobs.